Welcome to the Fourth and Gold NFL podcast for our Week 17 preview. Christmas is here. We've got 2 weeks to go, and there's only really a few places up for grabs now. So let's just dive straight in. Christmas Day triple header. It's not quite as exciting as it looked at the start of the season, but we will take it. First game, Paul. Cowboys at Commanders. Both teams are done, but they're playing.
They are, and like you said, Netflix did not anticipate, they've got to be devastated with the outcome. This was supposed to be potentially be, the best outcome maybe for the division, if not for a wildcard spot. And now it's for draft position. Jaden Daniels is done for the year. Mariota's come in and has actually been inconsistent, but not terrible. The Dallas defense is back, as we know. It's re-emerged over the last couple of weeks and just got torched last week by the Chargers. They generated 0 sacks against the Chargers and their banged up offensive line, which is a terrible stat considering what the Chargers have been through this season. The spread is 7. I can't take Dallas -7 against anybody. So I say the Cowboys win, but the Commanders cover the 7. I think they're still playing tough and they're probably playing for Dan Quinn and Kingsbury's jobs, really. So, yeah, Cowboys win and Commanders cover the 7.
Yep. Cowboys defense is bad. Commanders defense is awful. So, you know, and I'm not sure if Mariota is going to play because he got banged up and he didn't practice yesterday. So there is a chance that Josh Johnson starts. And I would say there is actually quite a big drop off from Mariota to Johnson. Mariota, as you said, inconsistent, but he's been pretty serviceable overall. He's made some plays along the way. Cowboys win this game. I think that Javonte Williams might eat well on Christmas Day in this one. I know that the real threats we look at for the Cowboys are CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, but Washington's tackling ability outside of Bobby Wagner left a lot to be desired. And I could see him getting fed and him eating well. So, yeah, I would take the Cowboys to win the game. Next up, Lions at Vikings. Again, unfortunately, Vikings have nothing really to play for. The Lions, they are mathematically still alive, but realistically, they have a less than 1% chance. They have to win out. The Packers have to lose out. And when you look at their season, I don't know really what has gone wrong because, okay, we know the defense, the secondary has been an Achilles heel. But on offense, Gibbs has had an amazing year. They've got 2 1,000-yard receivers. You look at Goff's numbers, pretty damn good. I just feel like they've come up short in critical moments and they've lost games because of that. They've not shown up to big games. And last Sunday was a big game. So I think it's disappointing. I think it's disappointing for the Lions, like this life after Ben Johnson. And actually, the loss to the Steelers was their first back-to-back loss in 3 years. So they've got some things to figure out in the offseason. It's not clear to me what those things are, though, because, as I said, yeah, you can look at the secondary, but to me, it's the big games. They did not execute well enough in those games to be in the playoffs this year. Justin Jefferson is, I don't know, is it about 85 receiving yards away from 1,000 yard season? So he obviously wants to keep that streak alive. Might not be any JJ McCarthy this week because of another injury, his third different injury. So it's going to be Max Brosma if not. I'm going to take the Lions to win the game because, yeah, mathematically they are still alive. They have they've had success running the ball against this Brian Flores defense. That was with Ben Johnson though, so I don't know if that will still marry up. I'm going to say it will for this week. Lions win, and yeah, they will be hoping for the Ravens to upset the Packers on Saturday night.
With the Lions, to me, I think it's Ben Johnson not being there because you saw in season Dan Campbell have to take over the play calling, and it seemed to be a bit too late. Well, there
Yeah,
was an immediate change, like Jameson Williams was suddenly involved, but that that kind of poor performance, poor play calling for long periods of the season, and the amount of injuries that they've had on defense. It's just, and you look through their schedule, and like you said, to only just have your first back-to-back losses and you're what 8-7 is crazy. That just
wow.
how inconsistent you are. That you can't put together a couple of good performances, or if you put in a bad performance, then you rebound with a good performance on straight after that. And almost every single game that they've been involved in against a real contender, they've come up short.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Ravens earlier in the season, but the Ravens aren't the Ravens that we know. Um,
both Packer games.
yeah, they've been swept by the Packers, and that's who they're chasing. So that has come back to bite them. That's your two-game swing. With
Wow.
and yeah, they've been involved in some crazy games, but yeah, to me, they need to replace as best they can, which will be very difficult, Ben Johnson with
Mm.
the coordinator. And hopefully they're not, hopefully the owner just agrees to go and pay the money. Say something crazy happens, like Mike McDaniel gets fired in Miami. Just go and get him. Just go and get a top quality offensive coordinator because you have the guys on offense to cause damage. You just need some creativity. And it did improve when Dan Campbell got involved. So you just can't waste the prime years of these players before the salary cap really comes to get you later on down the line. And I think it could be coming this year. I think this upcoming year, like the salary cap starts to become more difficult for the Lions. But
Mm.
after this game, the Vikings have actually done fairly well to be where they are. They're 7-8, and considering that they've had, historically terrible quarterback play, according to many online sources, they've done very well to get to this point. I mean, they're a game behind the Lions
Wow.
with JJ McCarthy, and last week, who's the kid? He's the Minnesota quarterback, the Minnesota Golden Gophers quarterback, Max Brosma,
Yeah.
who, by the way, threw for more yards than Jackson Dart last week, but that's another story.
It
I
was certainly better than his first performance in Seattle.
yeah, but what I mean, talk about
Tough assignment.
yeah, talk about a hard gig on your first NFL start, going against the 12s, and that Yeah. Um, yeah, I think the Lions will win and the Lions will cover. I can't, I'll be shocked if they put together a 3-game losing streak.
Mm.
And
They are
this,
still alive technically, so Packers have got Ravens and Vikings to finish. We don't know the status of Jordan Love. You never know. You have to play till the end.
yeah, well, we'll get to the Packers and the Ravens, but they've actually both got decent backups. Malik Willis,
Yes, yes,
Huntley.
they do.
That actually could be a decent game.
Mm.
But this game, I think the Lions, yeah, there's still something there just about. So I think they win and they cover. 6, I don't think is enough. Yeah, I don't think the Vikings can exploit the Lions' weaknesses on defense.
Yeah.
So Lions win, cover.
Okay. To round off Christmas Day, we've got Broncos at the Chiefs. Again, not quite how we expected it. Now, we both picked the Chiefs to lose against the Titans, and they did. This is like the first time Andy Reid has been in a game where it didn't mean anything. So something tells me they were happy with that outcome, and I could see that continuing. But what do you say about this one?
Well, they're down to their third string quarterback. I don't even know the
Yeah.
guy.
No.
Minshew. Tore his ACL as well.
Yeah.
So
That's tough for him because he would have been. He's going to be a free agent.
Minshew was hoping for another gig. Well, maybe as the Chiefs starter next year because Mahomes is apparently struggling to make 2026 week 1 with the severity of his injury or
Yep.
multiple injuries.
Yeah,
It's
got to be careful with that.
Chris Oladikan, who, at least stats wise, I mean, I didn't watch much of the game. I just saw the Titans scoring plays. I didn't see the Chiefs play at quarterback,
Mhm.
but he threw for 111 yards, but it's against the Titans defense. This is not the Titans defense. This is the Broncos defense. I think they'll be pissed off after losing to the Jags at home. They're still in control of the number 1 seed AFC, but now they've got no breathing space at all because of the Patriots beating the Ravens on Sunday night. I just don't see I don't see how the Chiefs are going to score many points. I know it's in Kansas City, but this is a division game. The Broncos absolutely hate the Chiefs, and I think they'll enjoy kind of kicking them while they are down and hurting. So it's a lot of points, though. It is a lot of points considering the Denver Broncos offense. Broncos win, Chiefs cover, because I just don't think the Broncos offense is the one to kind of take advantage of the Chiefs' problems at the moment. And yeah, you raised an interesting point. Are the Chiefs trying all that hard? I mean, they got smoked by the Titans last week. So they
The
scored.
thing, the thing is, if the Chiefs lose out, there's a chance that they will have a top 10 pick, and this organization tends to be ahead of the curve. So I'm not saying they're just going to go out there and just completely tank the game away, but it wouldn't surprise me if let's not let's not win in the fourth quarter.
Well, they do have to start looking to the future. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Roster. There's some guys. Chris Jones is getting on. Travis Kelce. I mean, I don't want to jump on the bandwagon of he's done and all of this. Like it's easy to just get on Travis Kelce because of who he is, but yeah, he probably is nearing towards the end. Like the running back room. I mean, they're they're below average. The offensive line is going through major problems. So, yeah, they do need to draft some younger talent. And when you draft 10th overall in the top 10, then you draft 10th overall, pick 10 in the second, third, fourth round, and it goes on. So you get higher picks throughout the draft. I know that's obvious, but I say that because they need to make multiple picks in the draft and hit on multiple picks.
And pick 10 is not pick 10 for the Chiefs because they're not looking for a quarterback. And how many quarterbacks will go before that pick? So really, they're going to get potentially the sixth, the seventh best player in the draft because they're not looking at quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is time for them to start drafting well.
Yeah.
But it can be turned around quickly. I mean, look at Seattle have kind of nailed a couple of drafts and now look at where they're sitting. So this league can turn around quick. And then if you just have good quarterback play along with the draft picks, then you could have a Jacksonville situation where the quarterback, like you've got all those high picks on your roster, and suddenly if you have quarterback play, then you're away again. So, while they still got Reed and Mahomes, I think that they'll still be okay. And I'd have confidence in them drafting well. But yeah, to this game, I just think it's too many points. So, because of the Broncos offense. So, Broncos win and Kansas City cover.
Yep, I agree. And Sean Payton flexes his muscles about winning this game, I imagine.
I like that though. I like that. I saw the the Jags the Jags head coach clap back to Sean Payton about Jacksonville being a small market team. Yeah, I mean that's accurate. It's a factual statement. So yeah, Sean Payton kind of talks shit and lets you know what he's thinking. But I like that. There's nothing to see here really. I
yeah,
like the coaches talking shit to each other.
as do I. As do I. To your point about Travis Kelce, like he might not be done, but my point is, you can't be paying him 17 million a year anymore. You'd hope that, I don't know, if he wants to continue, let's bring that number right down. And yeah, I don't know if he will. It might not be worth his time, considering pretty sure him and his brother have a podcast that earns over nine figures. So we'll see. But yeah, Chiefs, not that they probably have a choice in the matter. Chiefs will want to lose this game, I think, and they'll probably want to lose next week as well. So Broncos win, Chiefs cover. It really would be like an ego win if the Chiefs go and do this because it serves no purpose other than to appease fans for a couple of hours. But like you've referenced in the past about last year, the Patriots beating the Bills backups, that just hurts you. So we move on to Saturday doubleheader. God, what a week. Christmas Day tripleheader, Saturday doubleheader. And this is truly a great doubleheader. We start with Texans at the Chargers. This game is actually huge. I know that they're already both in, but the implication is the winner will probably, or at least have a great shot and control it if they get the number 5 seed. And I mean, no disrespect, Paul. When we go into if we look at the playoff standings, if you've got the choice of playing the Patriots, the Jaguars, or the Steelers, any of those teams can beat you on their day. But if you're given the choice, I've got to say I would rather be playing the Steelers right now.
That's accurate.
Yeah, and so I think this is a massive game. because the loser obviously will probably end up going to New England or to Denver, maybe. The the Texans have had two games where they played the Cardinals and the Raiders, and so defensively, not their best, enough, maybe played down to the opposition a little bit. I don't think that's going to happen this week. They will be right back up for it, I think. And the matchup that just screams out to me, as obvious as it is this Houston defensive line against the Chargers offensive line. Now, the Chargers, I think you said it, didn't give up a sack against the Cowboys. This is a different test this week with these two pass rushers. And the secondary, it's going to make life difficult for Herbert to make quick throws. He certainly won't be throwing wide open to McConkey for a touchdown and Quinton Johnston mossing in the end zone. This is a different test. But to be fair, CJ Stroud's going to have a difficult day as well because the Chargers' defense is pretty good. I'm simply taking the Texans because I am blinded by this defense now. I have 1000% belief in them. I think they're the best unit on the field. I'm really, I am going to defend Justin Herbert for the rest of the way because he's had a great year, in my opinion, given the circumstance. But this defense, to me, will give them major issues. And I expect Herbert to get sacked a number of times in this game. So it's really a case of CJ Stroud. Can you play a clean game? And I say you can. So Texans win. Chargers are favored by 1.5 at home. So tells you where Vegas think this game is. And I'm going with the Texans.
I think that, well, both of these teams are on a crazy streak. So the Texans have won 7 straight. The Chargers have won 4 straight. And the Chargers, included in that, is ending the Chiefs season. That win over the Eagles. Yeah, and there was a token win against the Raiders, and they kicked the crap out of the Cowboys. But in pretty much every single one of those games, Justin Herbert, and I think it's time that I need to just admit that I was slightly wrong on the Chargers. Justin Herbert is a phenomenal football player, and he's performing miracles on a week-to-week basis in spite of the problems on his offensive line. And I think that trend will continue. And I think he'll find a way to make plays even against this defense. And I've just got more faith in the Chargers offense than I do in the Texans offense. I mean, the Texans were outgained by the Raiders last week. They
got the big play to Genti.
But it was 150 yards difference. And CJ Stroud played the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
So the Texans have been winning, and if you think back through at least the recent games, against the Chiefs, we gave Stroud and the Texans credit, like tougher environment, tough defense. At least at that time, Kansas City were playing for their lives. And he made some tough plays. He made some great throws, CJ Stroud, but the offense wasn't all together. It wasn't explosive. Then you've got the Raiders one, and then they put up 40 against the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are pretty atrocious lately. So I just give more credit. I think that the Chargers have more credit in the bank than the Texans. And the Chargers defense isn't a joke either. The Chargers defense can make plays, and they're not, superstars, at least brand names. You don't go, oh, jeez, they got this guy, but they make plays. Then they're well coached. The Jesse Minter defense is well coached, well schemed up, and they make plays. And Yeah, I think that the Chargers can beat the Texans, and I think it's another statement win. And you're totally right in what you say that there is a race in the AFC to get to be the 5 seed. And if the Broncos, I think I'm right in saying that if the I think it's Broncos, is it Broncos Chargers week 18?
It is.
Right, so that's for the division.
Chargers are only one game back.
Yeah,
Wow.
they both win this week. That's for the division.
Wowza.
So probably not for the number 1 seed because the Patriots are still there and the Patriots remaining two are, of course, Jets and Dolphins. But yeah, I think this game is huge. You know, look at the stakes on the table for the Chargers. You could win the division. You could, by some miracles happen, potentially get the number 1 overall seed. I don't see that, but yeah, I'm admitting that I was slightly wrong on the Chargers, and it's time to give them a little bit of credit from my side. Coaching matters. They're well coached. Justin Herbert is a superstar, at least in the regular season, to be determined in the playoffs. But that's the next chapter coming up. So, and I think they'll be really determined to give themselves the best possible matchup in the playoffs. And that starts this week with beating the Texans, who I think still have problems on offense. So I'm going to take the Chargers to win and cover. Spread's only 2. Yeah. Chargers win and Chargers cover.
Very interesting. Second half of this Saturday doubleheader sees the Ravens at the Packers. Just before we start, King Henry is 64 yards away from surpassing Tony Dorsett to be 10th all-time in rushing yards. And he needs 2 touchdowns to tie Adrian Peterson, the great Adrian Peterson, for 4th in all-time rushing touchdowns. He went off really against the Patriots until 12 minutes left in the game where he didn't see the field again. I don't understand why, and it all fell apart from there. But it's simply a must win for the Ravens to stand any chance. They're sort of in the Lions situation. It's not in their hands. They could beat the Packers, and all the Steelers need to do is go into Cleveland and win that game, and it's over. But the Ravens have to come through this one first. I don't know if Lamar's going to play. I think there's a chance. But if not, Snoop Huntley should have done enough, really. That loss wasn't really on him.
Yeah.
For the Packers, I don't know how they lost that game last week. Well, I do know Romeo Dobbs, who got banged up in the game, was put on the onside kick to basically seal the game. If he's banged up, I don't know why he's being put in that situation. In any case, Malik Willis came in for Jordan Love, who I think was concussed from that very big hit. He played very well. Josh Jacobs was banged up. Emmanuel Wilson came in and he played very well. I don't know what it is about these two teams not being able to hold leads. Like they particularly the Packers this year, because I know the Ravens have struggled all year, but the Packers this year have thrown away how many wins that they should have had when they were clearly winning the game and clearly were the better team. But here we are. Like, they're just lucky that really the Lions have just come up short. I think this is where it ends for the Ravens because I look at the two teams, and while Huntley is competent, I think Malik Willis is a better starter. I look at the Ravens defense, and while they have moments, they have real moments where they're all over the place. The Packers defense, even without Micah Parsons, to me is clearly better. And really, they need King Henry to just go crazy in this game, I think, to stand any chance. And I just don't think that's going to happen enough. So I'm going to take the Packers to win. The spread is, let's have a look. The spread is 2.5 in favor of the Packers. I say they cover. I think it will be quite close. But this, for me, is where it ends for the Ravens. And they have some real soul searching to do. Why does Zay Flowers keep fumbling? I know this was a great play by Clavon Chason, but he has a real ball protection issue. And I'm sorry to dig him out, solely as a team. I feel like the attention to details is not there. Packers win.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Packers are the more likely victor in this game. I watched the Patriots and the Ravens, and I completely agree. I don't know what it is with Baltimore and getting away from what they're actually good at in games. We've seen it in the playoffs with Lamar Jackson and the rushing attempts, and King Henry and the rushing attempts. What are you doing? The game was pretty much under control. And your best player, he was gashing the Patriots defense. And you just sit him? Was he hurt? Or
John Harbaugh said, "Oh, it was due to rotations. Like we'd scheduled the rotations. Just go and win the fucking game. Like this is the Patriots. You're not playing the Jets. Like go and win the game with your best players who are going off."
and it was for your playoff life as well. Yeah, that makes no sense. I don't think that's the real reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, all is not well in Baltimore, and whispers are coming out of the rebuild that is upcoming. I mean, this roster is expensive and was built now or last year or the year before that, and they didn't get it done. And yeah, this could be the start of some new project in Baltimore. Green Bay, it's a season of, I think, I know they're still alive, but what could have been. I mean, this is a team that yeah, Micah Parsons is done, but if they do find some form in the playoffs, they're capable of going through the playoffs and beating everybody that they meet because the Packers are. And that's what's crazy about this NFL season is that there's no team that you go, oh yeah, well they tick all of the boxes. And Green Bay are one of those teams that you would be, you would be really confident that they could beat anybody if they make it to the playoffs. And I don't think it matters because of their style of play, their defense and their running game, if they have to play on the road. Yeah, that loss to Chicago was devastating, but we'll come on to Chicago. Yeah, Packers win. And I think Malik Willis, I don't understand why he doesn't have a starting job because he's really good for a backup anyway. And there's certain teams, your Jets of this world, and now Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City were Minshew, and I know you're a big fan of Minshew, but Malik Willis is greater than Minshew, and my team with Rudolph. And what are we doing? Like
I
these back,
said it to you when they did the whole Daniel Jones thing. You better start looking at free agents in the off season. And when I did, Malik Willis's name stood out of the list of free agents. He's going to be coveted, I think, because I don't see how the Packers persuade him to sign a new deal, and they're not going to franchise tag him because of the fee. He's going to hit the open market, and I think one of these teams out here could find themselves a capable starter. We'll
yeah,
see for the long run. We'll see if it's really, just Green Bay is a great environment or not. But to me, like there are attributes there where I say he could do something, like he could be capable.
yeah. He was before that draft, and I remember it well because he was being spoken about to the Steelers. That was the Kenny
Yeah.
Pickett. and he ended up going to the Titans in the third round. And it didn't work out at the Titans, and he's improved massively since being in Green Bay.
Yeah.
But yeah, he should get a shot somewhere. He should, because he's mobile and he does have a decent arm. So yeah, for this week, I just want to see the energy on the Baltimore sideline. Like, is there anything that you can kind of see what is going on? Will Lamar be there? Will he be suited up? What's the body language going to be in the Harbaugh and Henry and Lamar? Like, there's lots of rumors that things aren't going well, and yeah, I think there'll be more stuff to come out if they do lose, as I think they will to Green Bay this week. So yeah, Packers win, Packers cover.
Okay. We move on to the Sunday slate, early window. Cardinals at Bengals, Paul.
Why?
Meaningless.
Yeah, why are the Bengals only favored by 7? I mean, they beat the Dolphins by about 200 last week. So Joe Burrow at least enjoyed himself. Maybe it was the cold, maybe it was the warm weather after leaving freezing Ohio. Because the previous week against the Ravens, he wasn't enjoying life in the freezing cold, and then a trip to Florida in the midwinter break to Florida seemed to serve the Bengals well. So back to the cold winter Cincinnati conditions. Cardinals defense is dreadful. Bengals offense is not dreadful, but do they want to be playing? I say yeah. I say yeah. If they even turn up and they put in a bit of an effort, then they're capable of killing the Cardinals and covering the 7. So Bengals win and Bengals cover. But the Bengals record is crazy. They are what, 5-10? The Bengals are 5-10. Like, considering the talent that they have, how has this happened? And why, and more importantly, why on earth does this head coach still have a job? I know they weren't going to fire him in season, but and don't get me wrong, I follow the Steelers. Like, I hope he still keeps his job, but he really shouldn't.
I think the answer to your question is how many years is remaining on his contract and how much would that cost to fire him? Because as we know, the Bengals don't give out money for free. And
Oh,
if he,
did you hear the story about what it could have been the last home game, the Bengals Ravens? I think it was where the the stadium staff, they left the snow on the seats. They're so cheap they couldn't even clear the seats for the
yeah,
paying fans. Like, come on, what are we doing? Like, there's Merry Christmas, Cincinnati. Like,
this is who they are.
yeah, but
And
he's got.
imagine that being a player for this team, just these little nuggets of they cut a corner here, the owners cut a corner there. Joe Burrow has a really significant toe injury, and we're having to carry him to the locker room because we don't have a car. You don't have a car.
Yeah, I mean, there's far more stories to the Bengals. The last team in the NFL to have an indoor training facility in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is freezing in the winter. Um, Jamar Chase last week, a couple of weeks ago, telling the Bengals fans to basically go home if they're not enjoying what they're seeing. So even the players don't seem to enjoy being on that franchise, and they don't hide it. But yeah, the talent discrepancy, Bengals to Cardinals, it's a pretty big talent discrepancy. So yeah, I think the Bengals will win and cover.
I agree. I mean, Joe Burrow is a bit of a free spirit. He just views it as a football game and he wants to play the game he loves. And him and Chase will no doubt go off in this game. It's hurting them. It's only hurting them, but I think that's what will happen this week. Next up, the Steelers going into Cleveland. What are your thoughts on this game, Paul? You might have clinched the playoffs by the time this game starts. Sorry, you might have clinched the division title.
Yeah, the story of the Steelers recently is that the offense is playing much better, and Aaron Rodgers is playing at an elite level, at least in terms of managing the game. You know, he's not putting up crazy stats, but he is he's not making bad decisions. And the running game got going last week against the Lions. So, yeah, I mean, the Steelers were involved in a bit of a shootout, at least late with the Lions. And if you told anybody like Steelers Lions is going to be a shootout, oh, there's no way the Steelers can win that. Oh, there's no way. I mean, they're getting crushed if it's a shootout with the Lions in the dome. Yeah, but yeah, they played really well on offense, and it did get a bit scary at the end with those calls, no calls, all the flags. It was a bit crazy. I think they got the right decision in the end, even though the referees made a complete mess of it. But yeah, the Steelers are playing better, but it's a road game in the division, and Cleveland hates Pittsburgh. Like they hate the Steelers. So almost throw the records out of it. Almost throw, oh, the Browns are being a complete joke. Okay, just throw that out because they're capable of turning up. They beat the Steelers last year on Thursday night. Yeah, different quarterbacks, different conditions.
The
But
snow game with Jameis Winston.
yeah, exactly. So it's an AFC North road game. And there's no DK Metcalf, as we know, because he put his hands on a fan. Um, but Cleveland are truly a mess at the minute, truly, and they're truly looking to draft a position. I think they will still play hard this week because it's Steelers week, but I don't think they're capable of, despite playing hard, I don't think they're capable of hanging with this team at the minute because I think the Steelers have just found themselves at the right time heading into the playoffs. And no DK Metcalf, he wasn't involved last week except for putting his hands on the fan. He wasn't involved in the offense. And there's other guys who are getting themselves involved. You know, Thielen is appearing now at age mid-30s, whatever. He's just a veteran guy. Your friend MVS, like, yeah, he dropped the touchdown, but that was a tough play to make. But he changes it a little bit because he's got the speed, and it just opens up a little bit of the offense. You can't just sit down on these receivers. So I'm pleased with what I'm seeing from the Steelers offense, and the play calling has improved and it is better. And Rodgers seems to be finding a little bit of confidence. So, and Cleveland, I don't think can take advantage of the weaknesses of the Steelers defense. You know, TJ Watt's probably still not going to play, and they've got some injuries on defense, but Cleveland isn't the offense to take advantage of this. They hate the Steelers, but I just don't think they're capable of taking advantage. So Steelers win. Spread's only 3.5. So I say Steelers win and Steelers cover.
Mm. It was interesting because to me, the Steelers did put together a complete game last week. And, you know, the score was closer than I think it should have been in the end. But I've been saying it for a while. To stop the Lions, you have to negate Jahmyr Gibbs. And that's what the Steelers did. You look at Jahmyr Gibbs's numbers, well, 80% of that came on the final drive. He had like 15 yards through 3.5 quarters. And, that is the key to stopping the Lions offense. Obviously, the big question for me this week is, will Myles Garrett get this sack to set the record? I'm not sure he will, because Rodgers just gets rid of the ball very quickly most of the time. It's whether Rodgers just has one of those, those kind of flashback plays where I'm going to extend this one. Oh, wait, I'm 42. But we'll see on that. No DK Metcalf. That was a terrible decision by him. Everyone makes mistakes. So, he's going to pay for that one, but I'm sure he will be ready for the playoffs. I don't know if this is confirmed, but apparently that will void 45 million of his contract. So that does open the door.
If they choose to do it.
That's what I don't know, whether or not it's like, well, the NFL has said that it's, it's written in the contract. And if the NFL say that's detrimental to the team, it's a tricky situation. Like, if it's club policy, they'll go and do it because it's consistent. But if it's like one of those where it's like, well, we can do it because the league have opened the door, you run the risk of alienating the player. So
money means that he's gone. I think if you void the money, don't you cut him?
Nope.
You have to pay.
If you void the money, the Steelers will be in the better situation because his contract stays the same, but it means that the Steelers have much more flexibility to sort of say, we can drop you and we won't have a financial penalty for it. It's worse for him because he's got no security of that.
Right. So it's the same cap number. It's if they let it stand. So like you said, they could cut him and there's no more guarantees after this year.
Exactly. The dead cap completely goes, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, DK has to kind of make sure he's on point. But as you said, we'll see if that truly is Steelers policy, or it's like, this is the routine way that teams go about things. They'll probably do it because DK can have no real qualms, and he's got a bigger issue because, and I don't know if any of this is true. This is just what I'm reading. Allegedly, DK said that he heard racial slurs. There's a video that I think suggests there was not. So now the guy is filing like a defamation claim. So, man.
Jeez, what a mess.
What a mess. And then straight after that, he dropped a slant, and then he caught a slant, but he pushed off, so it was OPI. So not a great 10 minutes for DK. But back to the game. No DK in the game, but no Quinshon Judkins for the Browns. That was a significant injury, sadly, for my man Quinshon Judkins. And that's a large portion of their offense. Shador's not a miracle worker. And this isn't the most innovative passing offense. So to lose your running back against the Steelers, you said the Browns hate the Steelers. The Steelers also hate the Browns. They will be trying to get after Shador. So Steelers win. The spread was
3.5.
3.5. I mean, it could be an ugly game. That's the thing. It could be.
Yeah.
And it just depends. I still have the question. I still ask the question, what Steelers offense will we get this week? Because I think they knew that they could get at the Lions secondary. And wait, we haven't even mentioned the man Kenny Gainwell. I mean, this guy is a baller. That
What?
that catch
Yeah, what a play.
and the presence of mind to stand up knowing he hadn't been touched and run it in. That's coaching, you know, that's coaching. Yeah. Steelers win, Steelers cover. My man Aaron Rodgers, this some of the throws he made in that game, 42 years old. This to me is the greatest arm I've ever seen, still, in my opinion. My very biased opinion towards Rodgers. We move on, and the Steelers are division champions, I think. Next up, Saints at Titans. Not really a meaningful game overall, but meaningful in the standpoint that both teams are trying to help their quarterbacks along because it seems that Tyler Shuck has made an impression now.
The Saints have won three straight.
Yeah,
Say I heard this, and this is actually I agreed with this point, and it made me think like, what the hell? This is crazy. Say the season started at Thanksgiving,
mm-hmm.
you'd give the Saints a shot to win this division, win the NFC South.
Yeah, you would.
With the Panthers, Buccaneers, they're both almost trying to lose this division, and the Falcons are just the Falcons. The Saints have actually,
Because the Saints started with Spencer Rattler.
yeah,
Yeah, and they lost how many games?
yeah,
But you know, butterfly effect. Everything has to happen for a reason. They've got to be they've got to be happy that with what they're seeing from Shuck now. So we'll see if it continues, if it can really be something. But they've won several games in a row now.
yeah.
And
The problem with the Saints, or there are many problems with the Saints, but the major problem is not the quarterback play.
no, true. It is going to be that same merry-go-round in February, March, scrambling to get under the cap for whatever they're spending this. Well, it's this massive cap overdraft. But
Yeah.
I'll restrain myself for another day about that. I just want to give a shout out to one of Fourth and Gold's favorite players of this era, Taysom Hill, going out on a high potentially in his last Superdome game. He had himself his own triple double, getting what was it? So I've got it written down here: 38 yards passing, 42 yards rushing, and 36 yards receiving. So triple double, 116 total scrimmage yards, going out the way that we know Taysom Hill is. I'm gonna take the Saints to win the game, I think. It's one of those where they're both trying to win. They're both trying to, just give their quarterback reps to, because I think I like Cam Ward now. Like I think I'm not saying he's going to be elite, but I see the potential if they can actually get a roster around him. And
Yeah.
the roster's shown more, but we need a more complete roster. And right now, I think the Saints do have the edge roster wise, and I think that will show. So it's in the Superdome. No, it's at Titans. It's at Titans. Saints favored by 3. I mean, I'll take the Saints to cover, but this one might be a void. They may literally win by 3.
Yeah, no strong opinion. I'm just going to say that the Titans win. It's outdoors, dome team going outdoors. The Titans have been better lately. So, yeah, you can get carried away with the Saints on a winning streak. I still think they're pretty bad. Still think both teams are bad. Both teams. So, don't feel great about it, but I shall take the Tennessee Titans for back-to-back wins.
Wow. Okay. Next up, the Jaguars at the Colts. The Colts are not mathematically eliminated, but feels like they will be out this week. Got a question for you, Paul. What does the number one mean to you with the Jaguars?
The jersey number one. Number one
Oh,
over draft pick, Trevor Lawrence,
okay. Yeah, that's
or
very good.
your guy, the running back. He's now how many scrimmage yards this season? He's now over 1,500, is he?
So he's over 1250,
Okay.
but he is one rushing yard away from 1,000 rushing yards for this season, and it will be, and if he gets it, it will be his third 1,000-yard rushing season in 4 years in the NFL.
Yeah. He's he's quietly, and I was probably guilty of watching him at Wembley a couple of times and going, I don't get it with this guy. He was a first overall draft, but he was a first round draft pick. I just don't see it. And he was like, to me anyway, just used to be king of like the run for no gain or run for one. But then you see him in other games, and I'm probably guilty. I hold my hands up. I don't watch a lot of Jaguars football, so when he's putting up stats, it's in games where I'm not all that invested. And then you turn around and he's, like you said, he's had three 1,000-yard rushing seasons. So credit to him because he's a player and he's turned into, you have to say that they hit on that draft pick. Any running back that you take that you get 3,000-yard rushing seasons out of. And I think that there's still plenty more to come from him, from what I've seen. So, but he, along with a lot of other players on this Jaguars offense, are really, really solid NFL players, and they're just getting better. And it seems that since that game against the Texans, where they blew the lead late, this team's been on a bit of a tear. And you include some really impressive victories in that streak as well. I mean, most notably last week at Denver. So, and
Was that Trevor Lawrence's best game? Because I thought he played phenomenally.
yeah, and they made the Denver Broncos defense kind of look average because they were hurting them in quite a few different ways. And it's Denver, it's Mile High Stadium, you've got the conditions, the crowd is crazy. And they just like a massively impressive performance. And then one of those teams, like I said with the Packers, with the Baltimore game, you look around the NFL and, it's easy to go, oh, yeah, the Jags. I'll start to seriously talk about the Jags because they're on this winning streak. Name me a team that's playing better than the Jags right now. Because this team is, I believe, second in the NFL to the Bears in takeaways. So they're getting it done on defense, and they've got Trevor Lawrence, who's now looking like the Trevor Lawrence, number one overall pick, best quarterback in a generation. He's looking like this guy. Your guy in the backfield, ETN. They're doing all of this without Brian Thomas Jr., who's a really good player. And Travis Hunter's not played in how long? And he's a first overall draft pick. Well, first round overall draft pick that they traded up to go and get. So, and this is the first year. Ben Johnson in Chicago, Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. This is the first year of them with this head coach. And so, like I said, I don't know a team that you could say have a better shot than Jacksonville of being successful in the playoffs because they tick so many boxes. Defense, they've got the kicker as well, who's got the NFL record for longest kick. And special teams, the kid, what's his name? Washington, the little number.
Parker Washington, yeah.
So they've got a devastating kick return, and they've got a quarterback. They've got guys in the backfields. They've got receivers. Number 2 defense for takeaways in the NFL. They can win on the road in environments like Denver. What's not to like about Jacksonville lately? Really? And the only thing that I think, and this is me just not being negative about them, but just trying to be realistic because we tried to be objective, is that I haven't seen Trevor Lawrence do it for like a whole season. I've seen him do it for, the season where I think they were 10-3 and kind of fell apart that late. Seen him do it for that long, and then it kind of fell apart at the end. But this is now probably approaching Trevor Lawrence's best year as a pro. So can he continue that into the playoffs? But that win last week against Denver, that shows they can win on the road in the playoffs. So I don't think it matters if they get the number 1 overall seed. And say the Broncos are the number 1 overall seed. Well, Jacksonville just proved they can go in there and beat them.
That was a beating. Like, to me, that was maybe the best win for a team this season. The way that they just went into Denver of all places and just smoked them. Like that we've been told how good the Broncos defense is, and they've shown that they've had the clutchness to come back in games. The Jaguars just slammed the door in their face and said, "Not today." What was it? 3-score win. Like that was high execution.
It was high execution, and so many of the devastating plays that they had were just speed on offense. That guy Washington and your guy ETN, they're quick, and you can be a tough defense, but it doesn't help you tackle in space. It doesn't matter about a tough environment if you've got a really good play call, which is executed well, and it's still the same variables. It's still a really shifty, quick guy in open space. They're really, really hard to tackle. And the Jags have a few of those guys. So, like you said, I was massively impressed with the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. And I'm struggling to think of a team that I go, right, well, they tick more boxes in terms of a real contender than the Jags, because it's everywhere. I think they're going to beat the Colts this week. I think the Colts were completely exposed by the Niners. Yeah, the Niners are playing really well on offense lately, and most of their guys are back healthy now, and they've got some really good skill position players, and Purdy's playing really well. But the Colts had some success against the 49ers. And as you know, the weakness of the 49ers is on defense, and most of their problems are on defense, and their major injuries remaining are on defense. That's why I think the Colts had some success. The Jags are number 2 in the NFL in takeaways. Old Man Rivers, as I'm hearing every person call him, which I don't think people should be doing that. But anyway, that's something else. They should respect him enough to call him by his name that his parents gave to him. He's earned that at least. He made some throws, but like I said, that was against the 49ers. I think the Jags is a better defense than the 49ers, so I think the Jags are going to kill the Colts this week. I'm surprised the spread's only 6. And I think they could have a lot of success against the Colts defense. So Jags win and Jags cover.
100% agree. Jags win, Jags cover. You look at this receiver core, Myers. Ever since Myers has come in, it just seems to have coincided with after that loss to the Texans. They knew they didn't have Hunter, and they felt they needed an extra player. They extended him last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
So next year is going to be really interesting when you got Myers, Brian Thomas Jr. asterisk, because I don't know if he'll be there next year, but let's say he is, Hunter and Parker Washington. I mean, that is a formidable four. And Liam Cohen, you got to give him all the credit in the world. I mean, look at the shift in the Jaguars who he joined. Look at that Buccaneers offense right now. The That's the offense that he left. But maybe I was guilty of instant gratification because you're right. This is year one. And I'll hold my hands up. 3 weeks ago, I said, I've given up on Trevor Lawrence. And it is year one with Liam Cohen. And it seems to have clicked. Obviously, like you said, the big question is, will it continue? I feel like it will because the way that he's playing, like you just see a different side of him. The way that when he ran into the end zone to score the rushing touchdown, there's a fire about him finally. Like there really is. Like he is up for it, and yeah, I mean, he just surgically dealt with that defense in their house. The Colts defense, not very good, I don't think. I know the 49ers have a good offense. Well, this offense is damn good too. And Purdy took his belt off and really, really put belt to ass, as they say, on this Colts defense last night. I expect the same thing here. Jaguars win, Jaguars cover. The Jaguars' final game is who are they playing next week?
Titans, I
The
think.
Titans.
Hold on, let me check that.
I think you're right.
Yeah, yeah, they host the Titans to round out.
So there's an outside chance for them because they are, well, they need the Patriots to lose and they need the Broncos to lose. So, you know, there are there's a lot that has to happen. But they can do their part. They can win their two games and they win the division.
Yeah.
Next up, well, it is the Buccaneers at the Dolphins. I don't know what to say about the Buccaneers really. Like it's still in their hands, I think. I'm not sure actually. I think if the Panthers beat the Seahawks, when I was looking at the head-to-heads, I think they would be out. So it's a big game for the Panthers, but this is the Buccaneers game. Control what they can control. The Dolphins put up a bit of a fight against the Bengals, and then Quinn Ewers unraveled in the second half with a number of early Christmas presents. Um, it's hard to have confidence in the Bucks though, but I will pick them again. I've picked them to win probably the last 3 weeks in a row, and they keep losing.
Yeah.
But Quinn Ewers, I think, is gonna tip the scale for me. I think Buccaneers will win this game. They really have to stand any chance. The spread is
5.
5.5. Oh my goodness. No, I'm gonna hedge. Unfortunately, I'm gonna say Bucks win, but right now they will probably have to scrape this one. That it would not surprise me if they're down in the third quarter because they're not functioning properly. But yeah, I'll go with the Bucks win based on Quinn Ewers not really showing me enough.
Yeah, I don't really want to pick the Bucks, but I'm going to because, as you said, it's been years. Don't know how many. I think this is now last chance for Tampa Bay. Um, yeah, and you raised a really good point about them missing the offensive coordinator, and you can really see it. You can really, really see it. Like, and like I said about Detroit and offensive coordinators, like they really matter. So They really, really matter. And when you actually break down, when you're objective about the Tampa Bay season, and even earlier in the season when guys were banged up, like Baker was making plays with his legs, they're not scripted by the offensive coordinator. They're not designed runs. So Tampa's had problems on offense pretty much all season. They've just been masked by Baker performing at an MVP level. That seems like a year ago now,
Yeah.
where Baker was kind of one of the favourites for the MVP. And I was feeling very good about myself for pre-season picking Baker or giving him a shot at least to have a chance at the MVP. But
25-1, I remember it.
yeah, and it went and it at I think the height it was 4-1. So yeah, it really, really shrunk. But yeah, this is not a pick for the Bucks. This is a pick against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins, I think, are in a quiet sort of tank now with Quinn Ewers. Well, it's not even a quiet tank. I mean, it's an open tank. They've benched Tua, so they've benched their guy who's still under contract, obviously for salary cap reasons, and they're starting Quinn Ewers, who was a seventh round draft pick.
Yeah.
Well, and also Zach Wilson's on the roster, and Zach Wilson was a second overall draft pick in his career. So
And he was the backup.
Yeah.
And they went straight to the third string.
Right. So why aren't questions being asked about are Miami tanking and should this be allowed? This is a team that offered money to Brian Flores to tank. Disproven. Was it proven? I don't know. And then he was
ongoing, I think.
It's still ongoing. That was years. Come on. But yeah. The more I think of it, Miami are openly tanking. So Tampa Bay are not tanking. They're just playing terribly. So I'll take Tampa to win. Yeah, I'll take Tampa to win.
Okay. Patriots at Jets. Patriots favored by 12.5. Do they cover?
It's now 13.5.
Wow.
Yeah, probably. Like it's Brady Cook. And what did the Jets do last week?
Got beaten by the Saints pretty handily.
Yeah, the Jets have got crushed 3 out of the last 4, and it was the only. And then they beat the Falcons in amongst all of that. But every other game they've been crushed by Dolphins, Jaguars, Saints. Yeah, they're just not capable of being competitive. The Jets at the moment, they're not a good football team. They're not. There's just not enough talent on this roster, and they're firmly looking ahead to next year. But they don't hold the number 1 overall pick because somehow they have 3 wins.
It's the other New York team, right? With the Raiders, who play this week.
In a huge game.
The number 1 pick bowl.
It's huge. We'll get to that game. I think we should talk about that more than we do about a non-competitive game because I think that is fully competitive.
Mm.
Yeah, Patriots win, Patriots cover. Patriots impressed me last week against Baltimore. I picked them to win, but watching the game, I thought they'd blown it.
Mm.
But they hung in there and they came back late and they took advantage of some Baltimore mistakes and Baltimore turnovers. So credit to the Patriots. I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but that was a good win.
Yeah, and Drake May was in a situation where it was 4th down for the game, and he made a precision throw. It's only like a 4-yard throw in the air, out route to Diggs, but he needed to be precise because the defender was there. So that will do him some good. I agree, though. I think this has been a great year for the Patriots. I think it's been a great year for Drake May. I do not think he's the MVP. and I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but they are on the right track and they are ahead of schedule. But I look at their defense and I think some good offenses will be able to score on them. It's it's a work in progress. It's not a Belichick, Patriots defense. Like you can score on them. And offensively, they do have their lulls as well, as expected. But there's a lot of promise here. Like Diggs has come to life, and they still love their guy Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
And Matt Collins is making plays.
Yeah.
They did lose. They lost Travion Henderson because he banged his head on the ground, and somehow the Ravens were giving up 20-yard runs to Ramondre Stevenson. But we'll save that for another day. Patriots win this game. They did cover this type of spread last time they played the Jets, just when it was Fields. So, yeah, I say they cover this against Brady Cook. So I think this is the last game of the early window. Seahawks at the Panthers. What a crazy game we had last Thursday night. And, I'm going to start off by saying all credit to Sam Darnold, who delivered on that final drive in the clutch to win the game. But, but, I have a lot of questions still about this Seahawks offense. To get there, they needed a Rashid Shaheed return touchdown for 55 yards. They needed clearly a 2-point conversion play that had failed, but the fact that Darnold threw it backwards, it bounced into the end zone, and all credit to I think it was Charbonnet who picked it up. That's why you always pick up the ball. Like you never leave the ball dead on the ground. You never know. I think I still have more questions about the Seahawks than the Rams, even though the Rams lost the game. But all credit to them because when it came to it in overtime, they got the job done on offense, which is big. The Panthers, I want no part in picking because this team is so unpredictable. So unpredictable. Yeah, okay. They played the Bucks, who are in a struggle. But they've got a chance to win this game. I'm not going to pick them to win the game, but I'm just saying it would not surprise me if they somehow pull it off because this is my I don't have a read team. I just don't know what they're going to be on a week-to-week basis. So I'm going to take the safe pick. I'm going to take Seattle because I know Seattle and I know what their defense is when it's going. My questions are just on offense. Like you can't live off the plays that you needed last week. And I feel like they have been slightly struggling for about a month now. But that win will give them huge confidence, I think. And I expect to see a performance this week. They've had the extra few days as well. It's in their hands. The number one seed is in their hands. They win their 2 games, they're the number one seed. I say they take care of business in this one. But I hate this. I want no part of this spread. I could see it being closer than that. 7.5, I see. So Seahawks win, Panthers cover.
The Panthers only win these games when the other team turn the ball over multiple times. And that is possible with Seattle and Sam Darnold at quarterback.
Mm.
But
Yeah, he had the pick, didn't he?
yeah, the Panthers have had a crazy season where they've been completely crushed by some teams. I remember that game against the Bills where they just got destroyed. But then at the same time, they can beat the Packers They can beat the Rams. They can be swept in the season by the Saints, who have 5 wins total, 2 of them against the Panthers. Then you think you've got a read on this team, and then they go to San Francisco, who are banged up, and then they get kind of handled by the 49ers. I just don't know with the Panthers. So this for me is a bet. Will Seattle turn the ball over multiple times? And I think they might do. But even if they do, can Carolina take advantage enough? Because Seattle, when they do, as we saw, as the Rams game kind of showed us perfectly, Seattle can almost click into gear for a quarter, maybe a half, and score enough points to make up for it if just they get it together for a period of the football game. The Panthers don't have that luxury. Like the Panthers need Seattle to have a slow game all around. And I don't think that's going to happen. Seattle are a team that can play on the road. I don't think it matters that this game's in Carolina. I don't think it matters that this game is, the 10 a.m. body clock game for the West Coast team. So, yeah, I'll take the Seahawks to win and the Seahawks cover. I just don't think the Panthers offense can keep up with Seattle, even if Seattle turn the ball over. And it's all right there for Seattle. And on to next week, because I fully expect the Niners to win and the Seahawks to win.
Wow.
And then on we go to week 18.
That would be amazing.
It would be a shame if like one of them or both of them dropped it, because you really want to see like the season and seeding and number one seed and home field advantage and division and bragging rights and
Final game of the year, that will be guaranteed. It will be.
I'm not involved in this rivalry, but I just love it. Like it would bring up memories of like the Legion of Boom days, and these two teams hate each other. Yeah, I want to see Niners Seahawks to round out the season with it all the chips on the table.
I would love that too, obviously. Reminiscent of 2019, where the exact same scenario played out. Niners Seahawks.
Yeah,
At the goal line.
Yeah.
Because number 1 seed, number 5 seed, very different paths, as they found out that year. Because Seattle ended up with the 5 seed and lost on the road to Green Bay, whereas the Niners got to, advance through that first round. So I hope we get there. We'll see. And for the Panthers, the motivation is, I believe, I might have to be corrected on this. If they win this game, I think it's done. I think they win the division, and next week is immaterial.
Yeah.
Because even if they, let's say it played out that way, the Bucks win next week, they split the head-to-head, they tie the division record, they tie the conference record, and then it comes down to strength of schedule, and the Panthers have a higher strength of schedule. That's how I think it has worked out. But yeah.
Rico Dowdle's gone, or is just about to, or either has just gone over 1,000 rushing yards this season.
Wow.
Which is crazy. And
because he didn't start the year, right? He wasn't the starter from day one.
No, he wasn't. He won the starting job. Hubbard got hurt, and then he well and truly took it over. But last week, he only ran for 20-something yards, and Hubbard was involved a lot more. And watching the game, like Hubbard, Dowdle gives you, I know I'm a Dowdle guy, but Dowdle gives you more of a chance to win than Hubbard does. Hubbard's just just between the tackles, kind of ground and pound, like running back.
But that might not be reflective of, it might be one of those where the Buccaneers really honed in on Dowdle's on the field. So, like the Steelers did with Gibbs. Gibbs is on the field, shut him down. I'm pretty sure Montgomery had more yards than Gibbs. So it might have been one of those, oh, okay, Dowdle's off the field, Hubbard's there. They might not be running it. Oh wait, they've run it. One of those. So we move on. There's only 2 games in the afternoon window. It is the number one pick bowl that is the Giants at the Raiders. I don't have anything like analytical to say about predicting this game because I just don't know what the mentalities are. The number one pick is literally at stake for these two teams. So I'm going to hand to you, Paul. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Jackson Dart threw for 33 yards and a pick last week. He had 7 completions and he played the whole football game against the Vikings.
Yep.
So are the Giants openly tanking in front of the whole nation? Because your supposed superstar future quarterback he only attempted a pass 13 times in the football game.
Mm.
And wait, they ran 48 offensive plays. And only 13 of them he attempted passes. So they ran the ball the rest.
And they were down for a large part of that game.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Giants. But yeah, this game, not even joking about it, this game is so huge because when you see the trades on draft night where it's even like a small jump, I mean, it's even from pick 6 to pick 1, you could be talking at least another first round pick or
3-2. 3-2. The Bears moved from 3 with the Niners to 2, and they gave us 4 picks.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't want to bring up Trey Lance, but like that cost a lot. Like they do. These picks, these trades really cost a lot. Bryce Young really cost a lot. Like, so there's just no benefit to it. And with the Giants, I mean, there's got to be no other reason than for Jackson Dart not even attempting to pass the football that they're kind of done with the year, right? Surely? I don't know. I don't know. I don't watch enough Giants football, and I don't care enough to watch enough Giants football to really know what's going on. But that stat line just stinks to me. The Raiders. I mean, Genty was going crazy last week. And it's like we thought before the draft, get this guy in space. I don't want to see him smashing into the line of scrimmage. Like, not many
behind this offensive line.
Yeah, it's not going to go well. But him in space, yeah, he's really, really good. And he could be, a Bijan Robinson. He could be like a McCaffrey, kind of those kind of guys in space. But hopefully his career is not ruined by being with the Raiders. And this game is so huge because, yeah, the Giants, I mean, I got into that last week. Maybe delusionally they think that they do have their quarterback, but the Raiders definitely don't have their quarterback. So, and apparently this draft is not as great for quarterbacks as they thought it might have been. So it's really only the kid from, where's he play, Indiana, who's going to be, he's the number one overall draft pick on most boards that I've seen. So this is huge. This is really, really huge. It's in Vegas. I don't think the Raiders are tanking. I just think they're terrible. I think the Giants are tanking. So I'm going to say that the Raiders win. And in typical Raiders style, they lose. They win, but they lose. They ultimately lose. Because you should want to lose this game. There's no benefit to it. Beating the Giants means so what? who gives a crap about beating the Giants? The Giants are actively trying to lose. What other conclusion can you draw from Jackson Dart? Yeah, he's really good and he's our future. And you only let him throw the ball that amount of times against the Vikings and a backup quarterback in front of your own fans this late in the season. So I think the Giants are tanking, and I think the Raiders are not tanking. They're just terrible. So on that basis, I say the Raiders win the football game.
You took the words right out of my mouth. This would be the most. It's going to be the most Raiders thing to do, which is win this game and ultimately lose overall. So I say the same thing. Raiders win, mainly because like you said, they're not tanking. They're just bad, but they're trying. And okay, I think they might actually have gained a bit of confidence knowing that they put some production on the Texans defense. So yeah, you know what? I am gonna if I don't, I'm probably not gonna watch this game live, but I'm gonna watch it afterwards because I want to see what happens, the mentalities, particularly with the Giants in this game. Yeah, I
What
say
what's potentially, because there's a few teams. So in the draft order, you've got the 3-win teams. So both these teams are on 2 wins. So this is for the number 1 overall pick, because you're still a game clear then of everybody else with 1 game to go. And the Giants round out, I think their final game is the Cowboys. I don't know who the Raiders have got, but the other teams on 3 wins, you've got Jets, Browns, Titans. That's just in the AFC. And then the Cardinals. Okay, so there's 4 teams just below you on 3 wins.
so. Winning this game could drop you from not for, like, so they're 1 and 2. Winning this game could drop you from 1 or 2 to literally 6 because it's based on strength of schedule of your of your season. Like,
Yeah,
it's done a bit differently. It's not head to heads or anything like that.
yeah.
It's who's had. So I'm thinking about this. If you've had the strongest schedule, you'll get the higher pick. So I don't know. Like, you could probably work. Like, let me have a look. You could probably literally work it out where they will be.
Let's not drive ourselves crazy with this now. Let's just
Conspiracy theories.
wait until the end of this game. But those 4 teams that I read, Jets are playing the Patriots. Browns have got the Steelers. The Titans, okay. The Titans are playing the Saints. So the Titans have a shot.
The Giants would drop to 3. The Raiders would drop to 4. So
The Cardinals are,
Bengals.
yeah. So all 4 of them could lose again. So then,
Yeah.
yeah, you could drop from number 1 overall to number 6, and then it could cost you a first round pick at least to get back to number 1, just on the basis of winning, but
Yeah.
ultimately losing a football game.
So how do you mask not like literally trying to lose this game, but make it look like you're trying to win? That's the goal of the game. Like, do not win this game. Simple
Yeah.
as that.
Well, I mean, what were the Giants like? I know I've obsessed over it, but what were the Giants doing last week with not even
Yeah,
really quarterback?
just running the ball. Yeah,
So yeah, you'd probably change the play calls, or because you can't pull a guy out of a game and not raise suspicion, but a
not
guy can,
anymore. The Bucks did it many years ago. Fourth quarter, winning the last game of the season, they pulled all the starters with
yeah,
no
yeah.
with no explanation. and
But
then
a
they lost the game.
guy could not turn up to play the game in the first place. He could have an injury, non-disclosed
Mm.
injury, or a very hard to kind of diagnose injury, or an injury that requires surgery. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Trey Hendrickson's been hurt officially, but he's going to be a free agent. I mean, there's ways around things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay.
the Raiders win, but ultimately they lose.
It'll be an interesting situation for the Giants if they hold the number one pick. You know, we'll see how much they really believe in Jackson Dart. The other game in this window probably has a little bit more meaning for these teams. It is Eagles at the Bills. And it's for me like of the teams that are in the playoffs, probably the quarterback who has the most support, and I'll stand by it, versus the quarterback who has the least support. What do you make of this one, Paul?
Um,
Bills are favoured by 1.5. They are at home.
I think this game is really obviously obvious statement. Their season's not going to be decided by this game, but the Patriots, I think, are going to win out. They've got the Jets and Dolphins on their schedule, so the Bills can't win the division. The Bills can't really improve their playoff seeding, and it's a similar situation with the Eagles because yeah, the winner of the West is going to have it. It very much looks like the Bills are going to be either the 5 or the 6 seed, and the Eagles are going to be the 3 seed in the
Yeah.
NFC. And they can't really. Both teams are in a weird spot where it doesn't look like they can improve massively on their existing playoff seeding. So you're talking about injuries, and you're talking about finding some rhythm and finding some creativity in play calling. And the Eagles the Eagles kind of have made some improvements lately on offense. With the Bills, yeah, you know, rewind to what we were talking about with the Bills in September, and yeah, it's the same thing. It will be, can they win a game in January? And it's still the same story. And the only thing that's changed is the variables. So can Buffalo defense restrict the team to, I don't know, 28, 30 points? And that probably gives the Bills a shot. Bill gives Josh Allen a shot to win a game in the playoffs. They do kind of make plays though, Buffalo. They do create turnovers. It doesn't seem to matter who it's against as well. They always just create a turnover. This game is in
In Buffalo.
in Buffalo. Okay. And Saquon Barkley is, well, appears to have arrived back. Um, I don't
That's
know.
the big question for me. Like, are the Bills gonna stop the run, or are they gonna have one of those 200 plus rushing yards allowed games? Because
Yeah.
as you said, when they don't do that, they can make plays. And okay, a lot of these bad rushing games have come on the road. I think there's only one, which was week one against King Henry, and they won that game. Um, but that's always the question with me. Are they gonna wake up on Sunday and just wet the bed against the run?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Bills to win, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles win. I think both of these teams do have a real good shot to create some damage in the playoffs because they're both veteran teams, veteran quarterbacks, and yeah, their season will not be decided this week, like I said. But yeah, this will be a fun game to watch.
Mm.
Fun game to watch, just for clues heading into the playoffs, and you're just hoping because you want to see everybody turn up to the playoffs as healthy as possible. I don't want to see any injuries in this game.
Agreed. And who knows? We don't know if this could end up being the Super Bowl. It could do because
Yeah,
it's so wide open. And I say that because I do firmly believe in the Eagles, and I do firmly believe in Josh Allen and his Robin sidekick in James Cook. And if the Bills don't wet the bed against the run, their defense does make plays. But
yeah,
I'm going to take the Eagles because I just think they have more winners, like more difference makers. And I know I keep getting told that, by social media that Josh Allen's supporting cast isn't that bad. Yeah, in the regular season, they can make plays, but last week, 4th and 1, Josh Allen, bootleg, throws it to Knox in the breadbasket, and he drops it. So I keep being shown evidence that they can't make plays when they really need to. So I will take the Eagles. I think Saquon might go off in this game. And yeah, like you said, it doesn't define anything. You can only gain confidence from winning a game like this. So we move to one of the games of this week, Sunday Night Football. The Bears at the 49ers with a lot on the line.
loads on the line. Wow. Bears 49ers. Who would have thought, like, what, 2 months ago? What, fuck it, a month ago? All that amount of chips were going to be riding on this game. So
Yeah.
what do you think about this game? It's your team. Like you should have more of a handle on it than me.
So I go back to before the season when I saw the schedule come out, and I looked at it and I saw Bears in December. And as I keep saying to you throughout the season, I was like, damn, like I wanted to play the Bears in the first half of the season because I just figured there would be bumps in the road. And you don't want to play a team like this now in December where they're kind of figuring it out.
Yeah.
And I look at Caleb Williams, and yeah, for some reason it's taking him a bit more time to figure out the easy stuff, the more basic routine throws and plays. But my goodness, this guy has shown us many times this season already that he can make the throw in the moment to
Yeah.
win the game, like he did against the Packers. That was a hell of a throw. That's the type of throw that Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't make in the Super Bowl, that Jared Goff couldn't make in the Super Bowl, that ultimately Brock Purdy couldn't make in the Super Bowl. That's the type of talent I think Caleb has. And I believe he is now validating the belief I've had in him since day one. And you can just see the confidence oozing from him in his press conferences now. There's been a change. Him and Ben Johnson are clicking. And the Niners, I mean, though I didn't think they were going to win the game against the Colts. I thought it was going to be a Jonathan Taylor kind of game, and they shut him down, really. They my worry about the game is Ben Johnson historically has had great success at gashing the 49ers on the ground. Like he seems to have the answers in the run game. So it concerns me. Yeah, it concerns me with Swift and Monongai, who have had big days. Can we stop them? Can we stop this offense? Caleb Williams scares me greatly. Like, for all his haters, I hope you get to enjoy this one because I really, really need him not to play well this week. Their receiving core is banged up. The Niners scored 48 last week, and against these types of teams, I feel like we are going to have to score a similar amount to win them. Purdy has been on. Kittle, my man Kittle, showed you again. Like, to me, still, I'm biased, but this is the best tight end in the league. The all around tight end, not just the receiver, but the impact he has in the run game. But my goodness, the catch he made to save Purdy from an interception early in the game. Nah, this. What I say to George Kittle is put your WWE career on hold because you are still one of the best tight ends in this league. But the worst unit on this field is the 49ers defense. And that's what worries me. We did make plays. The two rookie defensive tackles, Alfred Collins forced the fumble. CJ West got a sack. My man, I forget his name, D. Winters with the pick six, repping 53 the right way, previously worn by Navarro Bowman. But I just can't get past the defense. I think the Bears will win this game. I think it's going to be a great game, though. I think it will be a shootout. Two offenses that are, are rolling at the moment. But ultimately, the Achilles heel for the 49ers against good offenses has been the defense. We have to be perfect on offense, and that's not sustainable to me. So, unfortunately, I sadly say Bears win this game. And so it means we're not going to set up the dream game against Seattle. But I tell you this now, if the 49ers beat the Bears, I will be picking them to beat Seattle next week. No question.
I could go either way with this. I'm just leaning towards the home team, San Francisco. Um, the Bears lead the league in takeaways. However, the 49ers don't turn the ball over all that much from what I have seen and what I know from watching their games. So, and yeah, the Bears have had some really impressive wins. But there's also been some questions with a lot of these wins. Some kind of minor little questions. The Eagles were going through some problems. And I don't want to just give it over to Chicago. I think it's too easy to just say, oh, yeah, they're here. And yeah, they are going to be really good for a long time in this league. But yeah, the Eagles game, they were struggling. And then, yeah, they lost to the Packers and they were impressive. But then they turned around and beat the Packers, but the Packers lost Jordan Love.
It required a fumbled onside kick as well. The Packers had the game won.
Yeah, and there's quite a lot of variance as well, coin flip kind of chance in the amount of games earlier in the season where they won by a score. I mean, I know it was early in the season, but they beat the Raiders and the Commanders back to back by a point. So they're combined, they outscored the Raiders and Commanders by 2 points.
Commanders fumbled on the final drive as well to set up a Bears field goal. So you're right. They've had the magic touch a little bit.
Yeah, and I just really rate the 49ers offense. And like you said, Kittle's a Hall of Famer. He's a future Famer. And
No question.
playing really, really, really well. And if the Bears don't take the ball away, then you can get at this Bears defense. And I think the 49ers will. This is still a Shanahan coached offense that I think can exploit the Bears defense. But
Kittle's got an ankle injury is my only concern, but CMC did have his best rushing day of the year. Like he had his longest run, over 100 rushing. Maybe that's the Colts, but I think this Bears defense, you're almost talking me round now because this Bears defense, you can move the ball on.
yeah, they just take the ball away. They take the ball away, but if you don't give them the turnovers, easier said than done. I mean, turnovers are opportunistic. They're not by chance. You know, you don't get to be the number one team in turnovers by accident.
Yeah.
But you've also got to be an offense that gives them the opportunity. So I say the 49ers win. I think the Bears are exciting. I think they're here for a long time. But I think this is a tough ask this week. So, and it's in prime time. Cross country. Yeah, I say the home team, San Francisco, wins. And they cover. Spreads 3.
You nearly had me. But I don't know, like I'm impressed with Caleb. Like
Yeah.
I've got to be impartial. My heart wants to say 49ers win, but my head is just telling me high scoring shootout and the Bears just edge it.
Look, I've noticed a pattern with you in 49ers games is that you pick them to lose so that you win even when you lose. I've noticed that. You pick
I
them.
hope I hope it works. Let's do it again this
Yeah,
week.
pick them to lose to the Colts, and I was like, he's done it again. Like, this is crazy. Like, seriously, like Rivers is going to beat the 49ers. Are you joking me? And you pick the Colts? Come on, man. Yeah.
I'm telling you now, this is the week. If the Niners win this game, I'm telling you now, I will pick the 49ers to beat Seattle at Levi Stadium. Like this is the last game where like my mindset with the Niners could change. If they win this game, maybe I actually will start to believe like we could actually make a run here. But I think what I've seen this year is when we've come up against the better offenses. I know the Bears are they've been a bit up and down, but the better offenses have had their way with us. So that's my only concern. So we finish off Monday Night Football, Rams at the Falcons. Raheem Morris, McVay know each other very well from Morris's time in LA. I can't believe the Rams lost that game. Like it's just one of those nights. Like everything that could have gone wrong for them went wrong. And I have no question. Like I said earlier, I still have more questions about the Seahawks than the Rams. If the Seahawks are the number one seed and they play the Rams, I will take the Rams to win. I'm saying that now. I loved McVay's press conference after the game. He was boiling. He was hot. And they're asking him all these questions about Puka Nakua off the field. And you could just see like a kettle boiling. He's about to explode. And then he just reset himself. And, you know, you got to love McVay. Like he went back to, hold on, check myself. I'm going to organically be positive here and say, you know, we need to put our arm around Nakua. He's a great guy. He just made a mistake, and he'll be, you know, he's going to continue to be great. The Falcons struggled against the Cardinals for large parts of that game. So the only way that I see it being close is if Bijan goes off, which he could. He could. But I'm not going to pick against the Rams, especially after a loss like that. They know they should have won that game. So I say they put it right this week. Who can who can find the answer for Nakua? I don't know because Devontae's out and he still went for 200. So double him the whole game, Falcons. Like, I don't know what to say. The amount of third downs where Stafford goes to Nakua, I know this because it happened against the Niners, where I'm like, where's Nakua? They've thrown it to Nakua. It's not rocket science, but I don't know if that will even stop it because Nakua is that's a special receiver. Rams win 8.5. The only reason they might not cover is just Bijan Robinson, but I say they do cover because imagine that they're pretty pissed off right now, and it's not over for them. Like they can still somehow get the number one seed. So while that's alive, you have to keep playing. So Rams win, Rams cover.
Yeah, I think that was pretty devastating for the Rams last week against the Seahawks. They it's almost the what the hell kind of moment when you watch, because I was watching the game back and I knew that the Rams had lost the game. I was like, how? Because I'm watching it in the fourth quarter and the amount of time left on the clock. How did they? Please, somebody explain to me how they did. And that swing was in the space of 2 minutes of gameplay. 2 minutes on the clock was the time the Shaheed punt return, and then the Rams almost went into self-destruct mode, like 3 and out, no time off the clock, and then Seattle went downfield and scored again, and then the crazy 2-point play, and that was 2 minutes, and then there was no scoring for the final 6 minutes in regulation. Like, what? You'd expect at least to have a winner or an attempt at a winner in the final 6 minutes after that crazy 2 minutes. But
then in overtime, they drove down the field, scored a touchdown.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know about this game. I think that Bijan Robinson's gonna go off. He's just crazy. When you watch some of the plays, he's just absolutely crazy, and it's a shame that he's on the Falcons. I think 8 points is a lot. I think the Falcons will lose this, but I think they could backdoor cover it. So, lose by 5, 6, 7. So I'll take the Rams to win and the Falcons cover.
Are we sure that next year starting Penix is better than starting Cousins?
Starting neither is the answer. Neither.
Yeah.
The answer can be no to to both of the above. It doesn't
Good answer. Yeah.
have to be one or the other. They're both bad options. Just admit you were wrong. It's not too late, Atlanta. Admit you were wrong. Start over. That probably goes for the head coach as well.